I can give you suggestions. I've shared this with you before. I look at things that I taught 10 years ago, and I say, what was I thinking? Okay? So, the only one that can be responsible for your relationship with Elohim is you. And now, 5 days between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, we have to understand that this is the time for us to pay attention. Broaden our ear. Broaden our mind to understand what the Word says and how it applies to our lives. Because in the world to come, yes, there will be the Kohen Hagadol in the order of Melchizedek Yehusha. There will be a priesthood. But we still have to follow along with what the rules of the kingdom say. Just like we got to follow along with what the rules, I mean, you get a red light. The red light, it says, stop. Unless you're on 121 and precinct line, then it's stop if you feel like it. But we have rules in society. We pay attention to those rules so that society goes on the way it's supposed to. The same thing in the realm of Elohim. But I have to be aware of what those things are. So the northern kingdom continued to seek the instruction of the Torah, but like the last verse in Judges said, every man did what was right in his own eyes. Do we see anything similar to that nowadays? Okay. Abortion is okay according to the Bible. That's what they'll tell you. Never is murder acceptable. But, that's, again, it's open to debate. People do what's right in their own eyes. Someone said, I can't remember what denomination, some minister from some denomination, the Torah or the Bible is a living document and it changes with the ages. Okay? Yahuwah has said, I am Yahuwah Elohim. I do not change. He's also said, my word does not change. So much so that he had to find a way, he had to find a loophole so that he could still keep the Torah, keep the commandments that he had set in place in order to restore the northern kingdom. He couldn't restore the northern kingdom unless he followed the rules. And following the rules meant that he had to make a way himself for a sacrifice to be given once and for all that would reverse everything. Okay? And that's what the Torah is about. It leads to Yahusha. This is Elohim's plan on how to fix what we've done. And he can't fix it because he's not going to break his own rules, so he has to make a way. And Yahusha said, I'm the way. I'm the truth. I'm the life. You want to come to the Father? Here I am. Okay? So, but this trend has continued to this day. And as Paul said, there is a form of reverence to something called God, but the power and the authority of Yahuwah Elohim is denied. What is the third commandment? Do not bring my name to nothing. We've created all kinds of stuff to violate the second commandment, to put in place of Elohim, violating the first and the third commandments along the way. Okay? The name of Yahuwah is not widely known, and he is not given the greatness that was to be set in place. Again, in the 32nd chapter, which is the Parsha Ha'azinu, Moses prophetically states that this will happen, and it's very much the norm today. But we can take it one step further today. Not only do people not really know Yahuwah Elohim, they don't even know God. Okay? If I wanted to throw out the name of a Teutonic deity, they don't even know God. Okay? So, As the age of the Adam progresses, the name Yahuwah will, and in the days of Enosh, be profaned and brought to low esteem, as he is replaced by other Elohim. We read in the days of Enosh, we get really excited when we read it in the Bible, that in the days of Enosh, men began to call on the name of Yahuwah. But what we don't recognize is that it says that men began to halal the name of Yahuwah. They began to profane the name of Yahuwah. What happened shortly after men began to profane the name of Yahuwah? Well, a few generations later, only 8 people were left because Elohim did something that he said he wouldn't do, but he did. And he said afterwards, after he destroyed all mankind for exercising free will, he said, I won't ever do that again. I'm going to set my bow in the sky. And we all say, oh, it's a pretty rainbow. He's going to set up a rainbow. The word that is used is actually a word that means something that shoots arrows. It's a reference to the Torah. I will set my Torah in the heavens. And that Torah in the heavens, my instruction that comes from me, will be the one thing that keeps the covenant between me and them. Everybody with me? Hopefully I haven't lost anybody. So okay. All right. So those who do not call on the name of Yahuwah will not be redeemed, delivered, and restored, according to the prophet Yoel. What does he say? He says, those who call on the name of Yahuwah will be delivered, redeemed. Peter repeats it in the Acts. Isaiah in chapter 55 says, call on the name of Yahuwah while he can be found. Call on the name of Yahuwah while he can be found. Can his name be found now? When the door slams and the shofar stops blasting, will his name be found outside of that door? That's it. You find it inside, but you're not going to find it outside. And nobody's going to want to find it outside because Revelation tells us that outside the gates are those who make and love a lie. So it won't really make a difference. Although his name is being brought back to the surface, there are very few seeking it. And Yahusha said what? Narrow is the way to life, and very few are those that find it. He said, broad is the way that leads to destruction, and everybody, their mother, dog, and second cousin, is walking on it. Okay? We go to verse 4. The rock, his work is perfect, for all his ways are justice, an El of faithfulness, and without iniquity, just and right is he. The rock refers to the Torah of Yahuwah. It is perfect, and all the ways of Yahuwah are justice. Our Elohim is faithful without fault and totally righteous. Our Elohim is faithful without fault and totally righteous. Do I see that when I don't get things my way? When things don't go the way I want them to go? Elohim answers prayer in a number of different ways. One of those ways is no. One of those ways is you have to wait. One of those ways, the most rare of all, is here it is. Okay? Like the Rolling Stones said, you don't always get what you want. But if you try sometime, you just might find you get what you need. Okay? All right, so it's our responsibility to guard, treasure, and observe what the Torah says, because that is the only way that we are going to maintain our covenant relationship with our Elohim. And if we digest the Torah, we place those judgments, statutes, commandments, promises within us. And within us, that is how we are able to hear the Spirit. That's how we're able to communicate with our Elohim. Okay? 5. Is corruption his? No. The children his children is the blemish, a generation crooked and perverse. Okay? And they haven't even gotten there yet. He's talking to the fresh generation that's fixing to cross over. But he's telling them, you're not going to be the fresh generation for long. You guys are going to really, really screw this up. Okay? All right, so very clearly we have to understand that Yahuwah does not fail to keep his end of the deal. We do. This is one of the reasons that we must keep Shabbat, so that we can take a weekly census of where we are and then make the necessary adjustments. This is why we have days like Yom Kippurim, why we have the feasts and festivals, basically, so that we can look at the big picture that is our life. So we can look at the even bigger picture to understand how things are about to play out. Maybe not in our lifetime, but they will play out. And we will be a part of it because Yahushua rose on the third day, which means the rest of us will as well if we have that relationship. This is why we celebrate the feasts and festivals of Yahuwah our Elohim, so that we can practice and be prepared for when the events that these represent come to true fruition. No, Yahuwah is not corrupt. His children are. Just as our own children won't take our advice when they should. I can tell you about that one. We fail to take his. It is not on us. It is on us and not on our Elohim. Again, the only one that can have a relationship for you with Yahuwah your Elohim is you. Okay? Verse 6. Do you thus requite Yahuwah, O foolish people and unwise? Is not he your father that has redeemed you? Has he not made you and established you? This verse begins with a great question that we have to take into account when we're wrapped in our talit and reviewing our condition. Okay, we do the Shema, and we've gotten the formula of what the Shema is, but listen, do you thus requite Yahuwah, O foolish people and unwise? The word for requite is gemel, that means to deal fully and to benefit. Do you deal fully with and benefit Yahuwah? Or does your relationship, is your relationship full? And thus, does it benefit you being in that relationship with Yahuwah your Elohim? This is what we're created to do. We are to give our Elohim our very best, the fullness of our being. How do we do this? We have jobs to do, relationships to attend to, meetings, and so on and so on. Do we do this by striving every day to devote ourselves to perfection in Him in all our pursuits, and then strive to be totally devoted to a guiding set of moral and ethical principles that our Father Yahuwah, who is our Elohim, gave us in His Torah? Do I apply what I learn in the Torah to everything that I do? I have a job. Everybody has a job. Do I do it to the fullness of my ability to honor my Elohim in my work? My relationships. Do I honor my Elohim in my relationships? When I'm speaking to the stranger at Walmart, do I honor my Elohim in the way I treat that person? I'm getting better at honoring my Elohim when I'm driving down the road. It's a struggle. But you understand what I'm saying. Okay? He is the one that has redeemed you, that has made you and established you. If we do not, then we have to take into account that we are indeed foolish people and unwise. He redeemed us by and through Yahushua, so that we can devote our lives to seeking perfection in Him according to His instruction. Yahushua died so that we would have a connection to the Father. So that we would have a high priest in the order of Melchizedek that would bring us back to the exalted Father. The Torah does not and will never redeem us. Okay? It's a set of instructions. My ability to act on those instructions is only a part of it. Yahushua made it possible for me to have the redemption of Yahuwah but I still have to act on the instructions in order to stay within that redeemed state of being. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense or not. Hopefully it does. Let's see. Yahuwah did this by accepting the payment that Yahusha made at the Tav. Because we are redeemed, we have an obligation to honor this redemption, to honor the sacrifice made by our Master Yahusha, one that was meant for us to make by living according to the instructions of the one that made it possible. Okay? It wasn't Yahusha's responsibility to die for us. When Adam was separated from Elohim, that was it. He would not live the full day. We were not supposed to live the full day. The wages of sin was death. The wages of straying off course, chatat, was death. Yahusha made it possible for us to reconnect to the Father. But as we read in the beginning, we must be willing to communicate with the Father so that we are able to broaden our ability to recognize the Father's presence, just as we ask the Father to broaden his ability to recognize us. Okay? Children of Israel didn't come out of Egypt until they cried out to Yahweh Elohim. Okay? Almost there. Everybody keeps saying, man, he's so close. Only 2 lines, and he's like talking for 45 minutes for each word. Okay. Yahusha made it possible for us. Our Father and our Elohim Yahuwah. The choice is yours. Will you Shema so that you can truly Ha'azanu? Will you perceive, discern, understand, obey, and apply what the Word says so that you can broaden the ear to understand your place within the covenant? And that is our lesson before Sukkot. And grooviness has been achieved. And turn off